Hello.
Hello. I'm so excited.
I haven't seen you in so long.
I know. It's so fun.
Yay.
I'm so excited to have you here to talk about our addiction,
Our truest, holiest addiction.
Twilight.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you already know this, but bitch, they're all on Netflix right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know you're a fanatic when 80 different people from all walks of life send you the same link that Twilight is on Netflix.
I do see that for you because I send you all of my Twilight specific stuff.
You do, and I treasure it fully, and I watch them over and over and over again. And you always send me kind of like the deep cuts of Twilight content. You know what I mean? Like you have to be a super fan to understand.
Yeah, I'm like,
content.
Who else would I send this to without like explaining?
It's 2021. If you have to explain to someone the plot of the Twilight Saga, they should get hit by a bus. You should know it.
You should know it. And if you don't know it, let's do a little rundown for the people so they don't have to get hit by a bus. This is a tale by Stephanie Meyer about a very old vampire, Edward Cullen, and a young 17-year-old girl, Ms. Bella Swan, who moves to the Pacific Northwest.
The Hollywood of America.
Yeah. They fall in love. They get married. They have a baby. He's a vampire. She's a human.
There's this kind of running joke I do that when I get blackout drunk, I start from the beginning and tell the Twilight plot till the end.
Oh my God.
All the details that I deem appropriate, which is kind of every piece of dialogue. So if you need me to do that at any moment, I can run upstairs, chug a bottle of tequila and start this party.
Amazing. I like, what are your most important things that you think everybody should know?
Okay. So first of all, this really is born out of a tale of divorce. Now,
what?
Yes.
How come? How come? How come I can't achieve? How come I can't achieve? I'm rolling up my sleeves. I'm rolling up my sleeves. Oh baby, I believe these guests can help. 'Cause I can't do it by myself. I wanna jizz.
Okay, we are really just jumping in with this episode. Most chaotic intro of all time. I'm sitting here with comedian Gabby Bryan, or I was last week when Twilight first came out, and yeah, this episode is fucking crazy. We go Twihard. No congrats this week because the congrats is Twilight being on Netflix. But if you ever want a new congrats immediately, go to patreon.com/howcome. There are like 5 saved up, but we recorded this episode for like 2 hours, so it's not going to fit in this one. But again, go to Patreon. And yeah, let's get back to Gabby Bryan, comedian, amazing podcast host of the Unabashed podcast, which I've been on, and why she thinks this is a story created out of divorce.
Bella's parents, Charlie and Renee, a young love in Forks, they get married young. We
are going back to the beginning. I'm obsessed. Going back. Okay.
This is pre-Twilight, but it's important.
Prologue.
It's basically the whole Twilight Saga is representation for children of divorce. Let's just start there. So Renee and Charlie get married young, okay? She is riddled with mental illness. It's clear as day. She struggles with clinical depression. She paints the kitchen sunshine yellow because she can't deal with the rain. This is documented first chapter, first book.
Okay.
So she starts having manic freakouts, I'm assuming. But I'm feeling, going in between the lines. But it's clear as day that she has the baby. She's going through postpartum depression.
Some kind of postpartum, yeah.
She's like, I got to get out of here, Charlie. I'm taking the baby and I'm moving to the most sunny place on earth, Arizona. A place that should be bombed. What goes on in Arizona that everyone is so drawn there?
They go there to like go outside.
It's like the sun is everywhere. At least go to Florida, like the Jews, like our people.
Who knows? They like plants that don't need rain.
Google it. Google them and get out of Arizona quick.
So Bella grows up in Arizona.
So Bella grows up in Arizona. Renee and Charlie don't get along. She doesn't really see her dad other than on summers. And then she kind of stops going there on summers because she doesn't relate to him. Classic, right? And then suddenly she realizes that she is holding, because her and her mom do have a codependent relationship.
Yes.
She needs to move to Forks with her dad to allow her mother to live her life of freedom with her baseball playing boyfriend.
Yes.
Toxic.
But she likes him. She thinks he's a nice guy.
She likes him, but she feels like she needs to leave her mom.
So that her mom can like enjoy her life.
So deeply sad.
Yeah, it is. Do you think, okay, wait, now that we're grounding this in about children of divorce, we now know from reading this book and everything after that Stephenie Meyer is a Mormon, and like a lot of this is rooted in Mormon culture, but also like extremely heteronormative culture, like get married, have a baby, that will be your perfect life.
Right.
So like, is this juxtaposition of Renee and Charlie being like, this is what not to do?
I never thought about it like that, but I do instinctually love that.
Like, I feel that it's like, oh, look at this poor family. And it's all because they had a baby before they were wedded.
Yeah. I often forget about the Mormon aspect, and it really
You can't forget about it.
You can't because it's the cherry on top.
And as we're like discussing this and our love for it, like we need to acknowledge how like kind of fucked up a lot. Not that Mormonism itself is fucked up, but it really does assume that everybody has the same exact path.
Yes.
In this. And so like, I just remember as a younger, or I guess I was like 16 when I first read the books, that I was like, oh, this is ideal. Like, this is actually what I want, is like to meet an 80-year-old vampire when I'm 17, get frozen in time, have a baby with him magically, and live happily ever after. Like, fuck my family, fuck everyone I've ever known, fuck career.
No, it's not about career. It's about staying hot forever.
Yes, Twilight is about staying hot forever.
That's what it is. The peak, and I'm jumping ahead here, but the peak moment in the goddamn saga is that she turns into a vampire and she looks in the mirror and she says, wow, my stomach is so flat.
Whoa, I forgot about that's so funny because Bella also is this character who like seemingly never cares about her looks. Like she's just like effortlessly hot.
Yeah. She's just like always kind of occasionally brushing her hair, and she's like, all right, that's enough for the day. She also, me and my roommate reread the books during quarantine.
Shout out to Zach.
Shout out Zach Senior.
We wanted him on here, but we thought it would be too many voices, too excited. We might have him back.
We would be screaming.
We'll have him on attention. Yeah.
It would be too much. But we reread the books. And when I was reading the books in middle school, I was like, Bella is peak cool girl.
Right.
No makeup, super pale. Like, I'm really pale, and I grew up on the Jersey Shore and everyone was super tan. So I really related to that. So I was like, whoa, this girl is cool. She's pale. She wears turquoise bracelets. This is something I could really get behind.
Very alluring. Yeah.
Yes. So I loved her, addicted to her vibe. Pale skin, no makeup, long hair. Cut to the pandemic. We're rereading the books and we're kind of re-evaluating how literally annoying Bella is. She's like a guy. She's like one of those girls who's like, I'm a guy's girl.
She's a pick-me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's literally ripping the other girls apart the whole time.
The entire time.
She calls girls annoying. I was like, okay, bitch.
Also, I started reading Midnight Sun, and you read it too, twice.
I did.
From Edward's perspective, Edward hates every girl that's ever existed.
Yeah.
Like, he's just like a super misogynist.
Yeah.
He also doesn't think Bella's attractive. She's the first girl he's ever like been like, okay, like she's fine or whatever.
Fine.
Yeah, she's fine. Like, it's very like, you don't want the guy or girl that you've ever been with to like anyone before you. which is like so detrimental when you're growing up, because like you're like, oh, I never want to get into a relationship because then like the person I'm supposed to be with might not want to date me.
Yeah, what the hell?
Because I've liked a person before.
He slut shames her the whole time. All she wants to do, all this bitch wants to do is kiss him. And he's always just like,
no,
like,
no.
swatting her away every time. They are actively girlfriend and boyfriend, have said, I love you multiple times. And she will go to kiss him and he literally throws his body to the ground.
Yes. We can say, because we've read his side, that it's like he doesn't want to kill her and stuff, but also he says he doesn't want to like defile her, and like he puts a lot of his like Christian background on her, like he won't have sex with her until they get married. Like they do a lot of bartering.
Yes, that is so true.
Like it'll be like, I'll fuck you if you marry me, like I'll turn you if you marry me.
Also, and we cannot fly past this as well, the first time they do have sex, he breaks a bed, and then this bitch wakes up and can walk. That's not reality.
That is not reality.
He's like, I'm fine, I took a shower and I went swimming. And I was like, you are bleeding down your leg for sure. This is the first time you're having sex, and he broke wood.
Yeah, and his wood is probably really stiff. You know?
Yeah, he is a rock solid boner at all times.
His skin is described as marbly many, many times. And if I got fucked by a marble dild that also broke the bed, like it would take an ice pack or two.
Oh my
God.
God.
Swim.
And then she's got in a goddamn bikini the whole trip, swimming in salt water. You have a UTI. Don't lie to us. You started this trip with a UTI, and now you're ending this trip with a UTI.
And then she asks for sex again, and he's like, no, you're fucking crazy.
Yeah, and then she's kind of like flouncing around in lingerie the whole time, which was a part that I really did love, where Alice packs her a bunch of lingerie.
Okay, yeah, so that's another thing about Bella, is Bella never has to try or do anything because everybody in her life is just like there to like make up for her misgivings or whatever. Like, oh, she can't dress herself. Surprise, a stylist step sister-in-law.
Iconic.
Who wants to dress you sexy. Like she just gets to be sexy even though like everything she's bought before was like a long khaki skirt.
Oh, she is always in the color turquoise, a t-shirt, a khaki colored pant, a ked.
Yeah, but it makes you feel like, oh, trying isn't actually cool. Like you have to be the type that like things just come effortlessly to. And that's like a really hard thing for young people to read, because you're like, wait, so if I try at fashion, am I a loser? You know, like, yeah. Also, if I know I'm pretty, is that okay? Like Edward is literally like, you don't know you're beautiful, and that's what makes you beautiful. Yeah. And it's like, no, like girls are allowed to find themselves hot. Like,
I mean, Rosalie is villainized for being hot and knowing she's hot. Villainized. Yeah. And also, I do love how the whole book is about how Bella, doesn't wear makeup. And Stephanie Myers is showing up to book signings in a bold red lip every single time.
Insane. Oh. Also, if we're going to talk about Rosalie, we can't breeze over what they breeze over ridiculously.
How she was gang to death?
She was gang to death, yeah. And we don't talk about it.
This is a book for literal middle schoolers.
Yeah.
Rosalie was gang to death. I was 12 when I read this book. Mm-hmm. A Mormon wrote this book.
Mm-hmm. We don't show any sensitivity to her and like what she's gone through. And also it feels like
trauma.
She's being punished for having had that happen to her, because she can't, like, so much of her storyline is that she can't have a baby now because she's been turned. And it's like, well, you had to be turned because you were so defiled, yeah, like against your will, and yeah, she's just totally villainized the entire time for things that, for trauma that she like real trauma that she went through,
sexual trauma.
Yeah,
I mean, Edward was just had the plague. Relax. So did millions of other people. and Rosalie was ultimately turned. This is also creepy. This is Carlisle being a creep, is that he saw Rosalie bleeding in the middle of the street from being to death. And he goes, that girl would make a great girlfriend for my son. And turned her so that she would date Edward. This is before Emmett.
Oh.
Rosalie was the fourth person. No. Yes, the fourth person turned. It was Carlisle was turned. Then he turned Edward as his son. Then he met Esme, the love of his life. And then it was them with Edward. And then they were like, Edward needs a maid. And then this girl just so happens to be to hell in the middle of the street. And he's like, oh my God, that dying girl, gorgeous.
That's horrible.
And then it tries to shove them together. And Edward hates her because obviously she's not pure or whatever.
Piece of shit.
Yeah. So on top of that, Edward is a
apologist, victim blamer.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Edward.
I still love him.
Love him because the other choice, because there's, if two guys like you, those are your choices. The other choice, Jacob kisses Bella against her will.
Right.
And that Edward sticks up for her for, and he's like, you kissed her against her will. Like, he wasn't mad that he kissed her. He was mad that she didn't say yes.
Consent king.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So, like, and it's confusing because you watch this being like, oh, he's perfect. But then, like, he actually is like a big slut-shaming misogynist for the majority of his life.
Yeah, and continued.
Which is a long life.
Hundreds of years.
And we don't talk about that either. We don't talk about how this is grooming of a teenage girl.
Pedophilia.
Right?
This is a story of how a child of divorce is sold into sex slavery.
And we love it by accident.
I read it when I was 12 and I loved it still.
Yeah. No good.
Back to Rosalie, though. She is one of my favorite characters, obviously played by Nikki Reed, who I'm a big fan of. Sustainability queen.
Miscast to me. I thought it should have been like Doutzen Kroos or something.
People really hate. Yeah.
She only got cast because she's friends with the director. Like, let's be fair.
And you know what? God bless. No, it should have been like Cameron Diaz. You know what I mean?
It should have been a blonde.
Yeah.
Like, not somebody who's like, they dyed her hair blonde for this movie.
Oh, they like sprayed her hair gray. It wasn't even blonde.
Yeah.
But
go on.
My favorite thing about Rosalie, who is my favorite character, because she has the funniest revenge plot of all. She is really kind of serving us superwoman, superhero energy in that she gets ganged to hell. Gets brought back as a vampire, and then she puts on her wedding dress and kills her rapists one by one, leaving her husband for last. So he knows she's coming. What a fucking cool bitch.
Yeah, she is cool.
She was like, I'm gonna have fun with this, and I'm still gonna wear my wedding dress, and I fit in it even better now because I'm a hot vampire.
Because my stomach's so flat.
Because my stomach's so flat and I have abs.
Because you get a little bit hotter when you become a vampire. That's
just
like part of it. Yeah.
That's a big part of it, is that you're recognizable, but something's up.
Wait, I know I've asked you this before, but what age would you get turned now, knowing what you know? Because I remember being like, oh, as early as possible. Break your hymen, get changed.
You have to break your hymen first.
You have to break it first, because if we know from Jessica and True Blood, it hurts. If you don't, it grows back.
It grows back every single time. You are losing your virginity again. Jessica, another icon. I saw her walking around Brooklyn once and I followed her 3 blocks.
Jessica and Hoyt, I love their love story so much.
It's so beautiful. We could talk about
vampires
all day.
Forever.
So, what was I saying? Rosalie.
Oh, no, wait. Okay, fine. You say about Rosalie and then I'll ask you again.
Yes, and I have the answer to that question.
Okay.
But Rosalie, she was set up with Edward, like this intellectual who plays classical piano. Shut up.
Yeah.
First of all, everyone in medieval times played classical piano. You're not original.
You're not special.
You're not special. Okay?
You're just old.
You're just old as shit. You're aging yourself by playing piano right now. And then her choice for a mate is a dumb buff guy who was getting eaten by a bear. When she picked him, I was like, yes, that's what we're talking about. That is a woman who has lived through her trauma and doesn't want sad boys. She wants a hot idiot, and I respect her for it.
I feel she is like a bisexual queen who didn't know, and so she's choosing like golden retriever gamer boy.
Who never gets mad at her and just follows her around and does whatever she wants.
Mm-hmm. And
she's
breaks
a genius.
beds with her consensually.
Yeah, and they apparently fucked so much during their honeymoon that they had to move.
Yeah, many times.
Yeah, they said they kept breaking houses.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
So cool. So hot.
So hot.
But they're shamed the entire time as like they just like sex couple. It's like, no, he helped her out of like
a depression,
and like they love each other, and it's very cute.
They're
age
most
appropriate.
in love, and they're age appropriate.
Yeah,
they're the best match, I believe. Mm-hmm. And we will talk about Alice and Jasper because that's a whole other thing.
That's a whole other thing. But okay, your age, your turning age.
So we often talk about this in my household because there's so many different options here. Originally, you'd say 22, but then you look back, and I'm 27 now. You look back at 22 and you go,
not that cute.
Lost. I was lost, and I wasn't even that hot. Now at 27, I feel like I'm peaking physically and sexually. So I'm going to actually push this to a solid 30. So that as a vampire, and I would live obviously in a flat in Paris and kind of run a brothel. There's something.
Yes, you would.
Yeah, I would be a hooker for sure. CEO.
Madame.
Yeah, wearing kind of like latex all the time.
Madam.
Yeah, madam. I would run a nightclub. I would be a true vampire. I would eat people.
But French.
Fantasia.
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 Yeah.
That was a little Spanish, but you see it. Yeah, I would.
There's
be
one in
like,
Madrid too.
I would like run the box in France. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I would eat people for sure. No vegetarian diet. But I would eat people True Blood style where they still I would fuck them and then kind of eat them a little bit. So it's like consensual.
You could have one that you like keep and fucking eat like that lets you.
Yeah. A sex slave.
Yeah.
Great. So we're agreed. Yeah. So I say 30 because I'll be respected in the business world of a small business owner who owns a sex nightclub.
Amazing.
And I have enough wisdom as a 30-year-old, but I'm still really in peak hotness.
Yeah. I honestly, I think we need to blast this part of the episode that 30 is peak hotness.
Yes.
Because the patriarchy has done us no favors. They told us that 17 was peak hotness. So like get married, get turned, like, because you're gonna just start depreciating. And like if I turned myself at the age that I wanted to turn,
no,
I don't like her. Like I would every year I'm like, oh no, maybe this is the year that I'd get turned. And I'm 31 now. So
yeah, I've always said that I will peak at 34. I could sense it. That feels like my age. 30s as a woman, you are, self-assured, yourself. You're so hot. There's nothing hotter than a woman in their 30s. And
you respect yourself. Like you don't need the age for other people in business to respect you, but they do, I guess, if you're older, but you respect yourself, which is really fun and good.
Right. And you're physically so hot.
Like
20s women aren't hot.
20s is a time to get to know yourself. It's not the time to get changed.
Yeah, you're still figuring out how to do a cat eye. You have no real world experience. When I hit 27, my cat eye could slice diamonds. I am ready to go. Sitting in a meeting, I am ready to tear down the CEO of any company.
Amazing. Yeah. So later in life, turning, we love to see it. And also, yeah, you brought up that Edward is the first one that Carlisle turned, which I completely forgot. And now it makes so much more sense why they have such like a close, semi-homoerotic, but not, you think?
Their Carlisle story is also very iconic. The history behind Carlisle is similar to the history behind Eric from True Blood, where it is deep and it is dark, baby. Carlisle was turned, but he didn't know who turned him. So he kind of randomly, it is crazy that I haven't read these books in forever. And I just literally know all of this in my core.
Carlisle Cullen was born 1640 in London, England. He doesn't know who turned him because he was alone.
No, and he had to kind of figure it out. And then he lived with the Volturi for a long time. Famously, the Volturi, my favorite part of the Twilight series is the history of the Volturi, which are kind of the reigning vampire government. They're all Italian, Eastern European, sharp features, jet black hair.
Young Bella.
Young Bella.
Bella.
Bella, Bella, Bella. They have absolutely unreachable personalities and untraceable accents.
And they all have powers. Like they collect each other for their powers.
Yes, it turns into kind of an X-Men situation when we enter the Volturi, because they're collecting. Also, we learn in the last book that the Volturi was once run by another family, and then the current Volturi took them over. Remember the kind of creepy guys that just arrive at the Cullen house to fight the Volturi? They're like two Slavic men.
The Swedish ones?
No. They're
that's
like
family.
When we ran the Volturi, we sat in the throne for so long. we didn't move a muscle and we started petrifying. Remember that?
No.
They're like two weird short guys who just show up and they're like, we used to be the Volturi, and everyone's like, okay, weirdos.
Okay.
And then the current Volturi took over they like killed them, not killed them, but they took over the Volturi. They didn't kill them, but so the old Volturi petrified and they couldn't move and they started not being able to be as strong. And the new Volturi got rid of them, battled them, and then now was the reigning Volturi. Okay. And that's when they started going X-Men, collecting vampires with powers.
And does Carlisle have any powers, or he's just like good at working on people and like smelling blood?
Yeah, he has like self-control,
which is that's a huge power.
That's his power.
Yeah.
So Carlisle,
I think he has extreme compassion too.
Oh, yeah, I
that was like his thing.
Compassion with a U though. Holler.
Holler. He makes women come.
Yeah,
is his power. Carlisle then like worked for the Volturi as their like friend. I don't know. He was just a part of it. And then he was eating a lot of humans. He had blood red eyes famously. Then he turned away from that lifestyle when he wanted to go to vegetarianism, started working as a doctor, got his self-control, was in the plague wards, met Edward, then was like, I want a family. Then it turns into a story of adoption, really. And he turns Edward because he sees kind of a son in him. And then they are alone for years and years and years until they meet Esme.
And Edward has a power that he can read people's minds.
Yes.
So the Volturi wants him the whole time. Carlisle just like loves him.
Yes. Carlisle is dipping and dodging the Volturi to get Edward away from them.
And then where does he find Esme?
Esme, I feel like she fell off a cliff or something.
And he was like, she's beautiful. She'll be my wife.
She's gorgeous. She's short. She will be my wife. And she has a gift of compassion as well, actually. Motherly compassion. I'm pretty sure she fell off a cliff.
She did jump off a cliff. She committed suicide. Attempted suicide.
Oh my God. He's like, she doesn't want to live. I'm going to make her live forever and marry me.
What is
That's not compassionate.
In 1921, after losing her baby to lung fever, Esme attempted suicide, but her attempt was unsuccessful. Later, Carlisle transformed her into a vampire on her deathbed. So, yeah.
Oh.
Whoa, I forgot about the suicide storyline.
It's making me think of Titanic.
I've never seen Titanic.
Shut your fucking mouth.
I've only seen Thumbtanic, which was the thumb version of it, similar to Thumb Wars.
To quote Titanic, shut that hole in your face, because you need to see Titanic, because literally the way Jack and Rose meet is she is trying to kill herself at the front of the ship. She wants to jump off the ship because she hates her life. She doesn't want to marry Cal, and he saves her. And I used to think that was like so romantic, but then I'm like, I don't like this savior thing. Like,
oh my God, Esme.
Like all these women, like, they wanted to make a choice, and the men, not that like you shouldn't save people from suicide, but just like the structure of like, she owes him everything now. You know, like Rose says at the end of Titanic, he saved me in every way a woman can be saved. And it's like, you're supposed to save yourself.
You know how a woman could be saved? Universal
health care. Yeah.
Okay. That is how we save women.
If we didn't force them into marriages with Cal Hockley, who's too old and abusive. I know you don't know this movie, but still.
Wow. Okay.
If
so
Esme had healthcare while delivering that child, maybe the child would have survived, or maybe she could have gotten like antidepressants or some kind of mental care.
Yeah,
you know?
something.
She didn't
Oh
need
my
to
God.
Jump off
vampire.
a cliff
Yeah.
in an attempt to end her life.
Wait, Gabby, do you think that Bella A knew about this, and B, is this the reason why she jumped off the cliff in New Moon to get Edward back, because he knows all of Carlisle's memories and maybe that would have triggered him?
Now we're talking conspiracy theories.
Yes, we are.
And this is what I love to hear. Yes, everything is a callback in this movie. Yes.
Yes.
Stephanie ain't no stupid, okay? She is writing a full universe. Stephanie Myers does not get enough respect for the fact that she has created a Lord of the Rings like universe, global universe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we go to the Amazon in the last book. We go to Egypt in the last book.
Mm-hmm.
We are in London. We are all over the place. We're in Antarctica at one point.
Mm-hmm. And she's
building a
never
world.
said something transphobic, so she's beating JK right now.
It's true.
And they inspired a sex fanfic, 50 Shades of Grey.
I've actually never read it. Have you?
I have. I read all of them.
Should I read them? I'm a very horny person, so I'm scared it will ruin my life.
Really bad writing.
Yeah, of course.
Took me a really long time to get through because she always refers to as a vagina as my sex, which is alarming. But yeah, if you guys didn't know, 50 Shades of Grey, it's like the same exact thing. It's just a super, super rich guy who finds a really young virgin and then changes her in some way. In the BDSM way in 50 Shades and the vampire way in Twilight.
These girls. And by girls, I mean these rich men.
And these rich men, yeah. And yeah. All of the girls, they've never wanted to have sex before. They find sex repugnant until it is unlocked by this one perfect guy, which I know I keep saying it, but I just think is such a detrimental narrative because it is something I grew up with. Find the right person. It's like, no, find the first person and then find the next person.
Yeah, it's such a crazy thing because when you are a teenage girl, I don't know about you, but I was humping telephone poles. Like I had a crush on every single person I've ever seen.
Still do. I still do.
And I'm bisexual. So now it's just like every person who walks down the street, I'm like wanting to fuck.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, this isn't even, who are these? Let's talk about asexuality if we're talking about Bella.
Right.
I mean,
or maybe demisexuality. Maybe Bella she needs that like real emotional connection to like open up.
I mean, and bless her heart, what a hard life to live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sad. Deeply sad.
I mean, demis, they're great, but also it's like, I just don't like the idea of somebody else unlocking joy for you.
Yes. She also had depression, famously. Twice in the books.
And she was taking care of her mom.
Yes. And her dad.
Classic
child of divorce.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say it again, that it comes
Are
out
you
of
a child of divorce?
Of course. Who isn't?
Okay.
Are you?
I'm a child of separation, so it's like they're like, oh, they won't tell us ever. I mean, but they're divorced.
Sure.
I told you, my mom's in Arizona.
Right. To bike ride.
Yeah.
Code for be gay, by the way.
Wait, actually, the other day, since I haven't seen my mom in like 16 months, I spent like a week with her and we were talking about like sexuality, and I was like saying something about coming out as bi, and she was like, oh wait, you're bi now, not pan. And I was like, oh yeah, like I didn't really realize what pan meant, and now bi or whatever. And she was like, oh okay. And she's like, so how do you know like if you've never like had sex with a woman? And I was like, I don't know, like do little kids know that they have crushes before they have sex with people? And she's like, yeah, they do. And she's like, so what if I had like a crush on my teacher when I was in elementary school? And I was like, then congratulations, Mom, you're fucking bi.
You're bi, girly girl.
Yeah.
That is
welcome.
A fun thing that our generation of women do now, where we kind of give our moms the sex talk, the proper sex talk.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I mean, my mom is very kind of like rock and roll, like queen horror vibes. And she famously
married your rock and roll father.
Yes, there's a real sexual freedom in my household.
This is a Bon Jovi family, you guys.
It's true.
This is New York or New Jersey royalty.
Kind of a crazy thing about my story, but it is true.
I love
when people find out about that and they go, "What?" And I'm like, I know. It's random.
It's amazing.
I mean, my dad was fundamentally a drag queen in the 80s when you look back at pictures. Like, my little brother is trans.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Awesome.
Just got top surgery. Shout out.
Congrats, little bro.
I know, so cute. My twin brother, I like to say that he's gay. He's absolutely straight, but I just don't believe him. And my
I did that to one of mine for a while.
Yeah, I'm like, stop lying to everyone. I can sense it. I'm your twin. I could read your mind. And he's like, this is my girlfriend. I'm introducing you to my girlfriend right now. And then my aunts, a lot of my aunts are bi, and then one of my aunts is like very butchy lesbian. We come from a very gay family. So we talk about it constantly. And my little brother knew he was gay from like birth. Like we were literally like, that's a queer kid for sure.
Yeah.
So
I also love that you brought up hair metal being drag because
drag.
I always wanted to be a groupie for hair metal bands. And now I'm like, it's because you're gay.
It's because you're gay. Go to drag brunch. It's the same exact thing.
Yeah.
It's so, if there's a photo of my dad that so many people have sent me of him in assless chaps, I'm like, this is a drag queen.
Yeah.
He would win RuPaul's Drag Race. So I was at a show with my mom once, and this is before I came out as bi. Oh, no. I came out to my dad as bi on stage at a comedy show.
As you do.
As you do. We just laughed. It was like, it's literally nothing in my household. You know what I mean? And we're but I never actually talked to my family about it. And we're at a show, and my mom turned to me. We're sitting at the bar, and she goes, "You know, I had sex with a woman once." And I went,
yes.
Go on. And she's like, "I met this girl. We were vibing out. We went all the way. I thought maybe I'm not into it that much, but I had fun." And I was like,
amazing.
Okay. And I was like her giving me the gay sex talk, you know?
Yeah. We kind of have like more vocabulary and equipment to work with that we grew up with, so we can like share our knowledge with them, which is really nice. And getting back to Bella and Renee and Charlie, Bella is really raising her parents this whole time, which makes us feel that she is more adult. And so we like let her do these things that we're like, oh, like it's fine. She's already grown up, but she's been forced to grow up.
Yeah.
You know, the way that like the oldest daughter in a household is kind of like forced to be second mom. And it's like, we kind of should give these young women more time.
Yes.
And that is one thing that Edward is pushing for the whole time is he's like, I don't want to turn you. Like, I do want to give you more time. I do want you to go to college. I want to like see you have a job. So we like that. We like that about him.
Yeah. Well, then Edward really brings up the conversation that I think our generation is struggling with, which is, do we still want elements of the traditional hetero world in our modern relationships? Like chivalry. Like, it's not dead. There are parts
Edward
that we really
is, but it's not.
Edward's dead as hell.
Yeah.
But he still has come for some reason.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, science around the world is shocked. But yeah, it's like, do we want those traditional elements in a man, in a modern man? I say yes sometimes. I say
yes. Yeah.
I want you to take out the trash.
I think chivalry is gender neutral, to be fair. Like, I feel like, yeah, they should do really polite stuff for us, and we should do really polite, like any couple should just like be really nice to the person that they're with.
Right. It's really coming out of kindness. But also, as I begin to date women, I would never make a woman do house chores because that feels sexist. So if I do date a woman, the house is going to be a mess.
Because both of you are just not going to clean.
Yeah. So I kind of love the idea of a boyfriend kind of, you know, taking out the trash, doing the dishes, doing all those things.
Maybe a throuple?
I could never. I'm too much of a narcissist.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, but God bless.
But what if you were the hinge? What if they were both just fucking you?
I mean, that's cool.
Yeah.
But then I have to like date them as well.
Right. True.
I'll do a threesome for sure.
We both do the tasks around the house. I feel like we try to like split up. Like I do all like the folding and stuff, but he'll like wash the dishes.
That's beautiful. That's what we do in my household with my gay fiance.
Yes. Love you, Zach.
Yeah. Shout out Zach again.
When you guys were rereading, because I know you also famously bought the entire box set at the top of the pandemic.
Yeah, genius move.
Rereading, rewatching. Now it's on Netflix, but you have it forever. Were there any things that like really stood out to you that you were like, fuck, I did not realize this the first time?
I think the story of Alice and Jasper. Alice, the more you read, the more you're diving into the story of Alice.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there is a setup for a sequel, an Alice sequel in the Twilight Saga that could potentially happen.
Oh.
So Alice's story.
Ashley Green does not age. We could do it for Ev.
She does not age, and she famously took Joe Jonas's virginity, and we cannot fly past that as well.
Whoa, that's very Twilight.
It's very Twilight. It's very on brand for her.
Mm-hmm.
So Alice woke up a vampire. She has no memory of her life before being a vampire. She woke up in the middle of a field and she was just a vampire. But because she saw the future, she was able to have kind of immediate self-control and understanding because she knew where she would end up. And she almost immediately saw Jasper in her mind's eye. So her whole journey was getting to Jasper.
Wow.
So Alice, I'm pretty sure it was in South America.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wakes up a vampire. And then her journey to Carlisle, she kind of just, we don't know a lot of information, but she kind of just like arrives at Carlisle's doorstep and is like, I'm a part of your family now, by the way. Yeah. With Jasper. So she finds Jasper first.
Where?
Jasper's story is
insane. That's the one that I went back. I didn't even go back and reread. I was just on TikTok during the pandy, and there was a TikTok about like, how do we just never talk about the fact that Jasper fought for slavery, was a Confederate soldier, Confederate general. And then he met 3 Mexican chicks speaking Spanish to him on the beach. And he was like, hey, ladies. And they were like, you'll do perfect. And then they immediately turned him. And he he goes from one war to another. He is a man of war, right? He is a man of violence. His special power is that he can control moods, which is an absolute vibe. Yeah, but if used wrong, not such a vibe.
He's the king of manipulation.
Yeah.
It is wild. His special power is manipulation. So he is in the midst of, he goes from the Confederate War where he loves slaves and believes everyone should have slaves. And then goes into the vampire territory war that was going on. Simultaneous to the Civil War. So it's like these wars were happening, but no one really knew they were happening because there were so many deaths because of the Civil War. Back to Stephenie Meyer, perfect world building. So they're making all of these new vampires by the hundreds to fight over feeding territories in the South. And he is like, has scars all over his bodies from just being in fights all the time.
Battle scars.
He runs this war. And then Alice finds him and then takes him away from this life of violence into a life of peace.
Which is interesting because if you can control other people's emotions, like, can't you control your own? Like, I feel like they're literally the embodiment of that TikTok where it's like the fucking cops like being like trying to punch a mirror and then like a woman stops their hand and they're like, no. You know, it's like they need a woman to like feel compassion.
Yeah, which is unbelievable. She kind of, her story is she's the ultimate savior for all of the books. Alice is the hero, always.
Yeah, she is.
So she saves Jasper, and he is the newest of the vampires. So he has like no self-control and loves blood.
And that's why he always looks weird at school.
Yes, he always looks weird at school.
And in pain.
Another reason not to be turned young, because you have to go to high school all the time.
All the time.
That sucks.
Like,
why
no.
are they doing that?
I don't know. And also, like, don't they come from a world where homeschooling exists? Like, why would that not be okay?
Also, go to college.
Yeah,
Why
go to
high
college.
school?
You look old enough.
They look 10 years older than everyone in that high school.
I would love to see like a Saved by the Bell like spin-off of Twilight, like the college years.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
See them all hang at the quad.
Yeah. It's really Gossip Girl.
Yeah.
So that is Alice's, all we know of Alice's story. But cut to the last book, she is in South America digging up information to try to prove that Renesme, half human, half vampire, isn't dangerous. And she's running through, her and Jasper are running through South America. We don't know a lot. We're just kind of getting pieces. And then she arrives back during the battle with the half human, half vampire boy who kind of saves the day, proves that Renesme will stop aging at a certain point and can eat food like hamburgers and blood, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
And his story, my God, okay. His story is that his dad was a vampire and fucked all the women in his village and made like a bunch of, and they all
halflings.
died.
Yeah.
And made a bunch of halflings. And then he turned his hot aunt because half vampire, like what's the word I'm looking for? Hybrids. Hybrid males can turn people into vampires, but hybrid women can't. There's no explanation.
Whoa,
that's
rude.
Just rude.
It's because of the sperm.
Is it the sperm?
Is it the sperm?
So he turns his hot aunt. They kind of live their life, and that's who Alice finds. But then
because he doesn't want to be alone. Yeah.
Yes. Then we get a piece that while they were on this journey, Alice found out something from her past. Like, oh my God. No, this was in Midnight Sun. Wow, I'm blanking everything. In Midnight Sun.
Also, can we just say that Midnight Sun was what we needed in 2020? Like,
it saved my life.
It saved lives.
I was going through what can only be described as a brutal breakup. And when we would fight, and then I would just read Midnight Sun in front of him. And it literally wiped away anything he ever said. I was just like reading this amazing book, being like, I actually feel amazing now.
I felt amazing reading it because like you realize that like Bella isn't crazy in the beginning because she's like, why does this guy hate me? Like he really does hate her.
Hates her.
And so I felt like vindicated for that I'm like, okay, at least she's not like totally batshit. And we learned in Midnight Sun that she likes cats over dogs, which I love to hear.
That is true. Yes, Edward reads Alice's mind at one point. This is what happened. In Midnight Sun, Edward reads Alice's mind at one point, and there is a cue into finding out that maybe the guy who turned this hybrid we meet in the last book turned Alice.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, she starts to find out all this information. Interesting.
This is something that I would never have known.
That was the shocking thing that came out. I think I'm saying that correctly. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, that was the new crazy piece that is setting up a Alice book that we all deserve.
That would be amazing. Okay, so then back to this divorce. Apparently they have an infamous divorce that everybody knows about. Like, what happened?
We really delved into this when we reread it for our podcast, was that Renee has like a reputation in town. And everyone is always just like, oh, you're Renee and Charlie's daughter. And that it's really a read in between the lines situation, because everyone's like, oh, Charlie, we all take care of him now. Because he's like,
bitch mom.
Because your bitch mom left to Arizona.
When actually maybe she wasn't being such a bitch and he just couldn't handle her postpartum.
He couldn't handle the postpartum. And the real sign is that she painted the kitchen sunshine yellow because she didn't feel like she ever got sunshine, which is, should be the tagline for seasonal depression.
Yeah. Isn't there like some, I feel like it's like an Edith Wharton book called like The Yellow Wallpaper or something. And it's about like women's suicide.
Oh, dark.
Wallpaper.
Yeah, Renee was absolutely suicidal and had to take her baby and run.
The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman.
Yes, such an author name.
It's
always
a short
like
story.
William Price James.
Yeah. Narrated in first person, the story is a collection of journal entries written by a woman whose physician husband has rented an old mansion for the summer. Foregoing other rooms in the house, the couple moves into the upstairs nursery. As a form of treatment, the unnamed woman is forbidden from working or writing and is encouraged to eat well and get plenty of air so she can recuperate from what he calls a temporary nervous depression, a slight hysterical tendency, a diagnosis common to women during that period.
Whoa.
And I want to give Stephenie Meyer the credit that she probably knew about this short story and that maybe she is more on the side of Renee than we realize.
I think Renee is not a villain in the story. She is glorified. Renee wins.
Yeah.
Renee leaves to find her own happiness, has an amazing life with her daughter. She is childlike, but she's like famously beautiful and funny and amazing. She meets the love of her life, who is a minor league baseball player.
The dream.
And then they buy a house in Florida.
Yeah.
Renee it has a picturesque, normal life. And then Charlie is the one who's living with depression, who can't get out of his, habits of being a cop and eating steak every day. And then he finally meets a woman that changes his life.
Sue Clearwater, yeah.
Sue. She's from the
wolf
Quillite pack. She's just like a local matriarch whose husband dies. Her husband was the guy who dropped dead of a heart attack, Harry.
Yes. In the first, oh no. Was that
it was the first
book? Yeah.
Yeah. It was the first. And then she finds love again with Charlie.
So really it's a story of love saving the day and timing, I guess.
The only person who doesn't find love is Jacob's dad in a wheelchair.
Sad.
And
ableist.
Ableist. And why is he in a wheelchair? We never figure it out.
I bet it was from I bet he was a wolf and some vampires. No?
It skipped his generation.
Right.
It only arises when vampires are close. That's why Jacob's pack was the first pack in a long time, because the Cullens left and came back.
And werewolves only become werewolves when there are vampires around.
Exactly. The Quillite story really is a beautiful kind of Native American history as well, of a reservation that is their own kind of world with their own history. And I do love that she wrote that in there. I
do love that too.
And it's respected.
It is, yeah. But the one thing that does confuse me about it is like how open they are about it. But maybe it's because it's just legend at that point. Yeah. Like Jacob is the one who tells Bella everything. Otherwise, she would never know about Edward. She would never go to the bookstore.
She'd never go to the bookstore and almost get a gang.
Yes.
Also, speaking about callbacks. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Speaking of callbacks, she almost gets gang in an alley, just like Rosalie did. But Edward comes in and saves the day right away.
Which we love to see, but what about all these other people that might happen to and they don't have a vampire boyfriend?
Exactly.
And yeah, it makes you just feel like only the people with vampire boyfriends are worth saving, and not true.
Not true. She could have been Rosalie. Also kind of villainizing women who read.
Yeah.
If she didn't leave the dress store to go to a bookshop.
Yeah.
She wouldn't have almost been in an alley. Yeah.
It's that same joke about like, yeah, COVID stopped all of because like women stopped leaving the house. And it's like, hey. maybe
reverse that.
Doing the crime. Yeah. Weren't leaving the house. Yeah.
Maybe reverse that so much.
Yeah. Put that thing down, flip it and reverse it. What else? This whole book is talking about how like wonderful thinness is and like getting even thinner when you get turned and stuff. And like it also is like Bella doesn't eat much, and that translates into 50 Shades of Grey. Like the girl she never eats, and like Christian Grey has to like remind her to eat all the time. It's like a big character.
I hate that.
And
Billy Black is in a wheelchair because of complications from diabetes.
What?
Fatphobic.
That is so funny. She mixes this world of supernatural, like peak supernatural stuff with like pure human stories of having diabetes and ending up in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
What the fuck, Stephenie? Like, pick a lane. You know what I mean? You don't have to put the human in a diabetic shock, okay? Let him live.
But I do think that's on brand for her. Is like,
that's just, it's
the diabetic wheelchair guy doesn't get love.
right.
They also love money. She loves like anyone rich.
Yeah.
And that's like, I think a big allure to vampire culture is like they've just been around so long, so they have so much money. I saw a TikTok that Carlisle is actually one of the richest fictional characters, like above Bruce Wayne, above fucking, or no, I think the richest is Scrooge McDuck, but then Carlisle
Hilarious.
is like right under him.
How do we know their net worth?
The writings.
What?
Like they say it.
They
At
say
some
that his
point.
net worth?
I don't know.
I know
think
they're
so.
big on investing.
Or somebody like did the math.
Apparently he's worth 46
That is
billion.
so
Who,
funny.
the Cullens?
46 billion? From what?
He's been alive for 343 years.
Jeffrey Bezos.
Congratulations.
Jeffrey Bezos. You did it.
That is the best part of Bo Burnham's new special. And when he goes,
Congratulations. It's the best.
best.
I played that song for my dad in the car and was looking at him to be like, it's good, right? And he's like, what? Why does he like Jeffrey Bezos so much? And I'm like, you don't get it at all.
You don't get it. You don't get it. Jeffrey Bezos. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
They're billionaires. That's very, I mean, multi billionaires.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's been a doctor for 343 years all over the world. You know, that's going to build up bank.
And
he
like
made some
investing.
smart investments in 1670.
Yes, they do mention investments.
The long time
which we love.
to gain interest and, you know.
And oh wait, didn't they talk about how Alice saw the future and she saw what to invest in? I feel like they mentioned that at one point.
Of course they did. Yeah.
Which is
it's
iconic.
like on some like Back to the Future shit, but instead of going back and buying the almanac, like you just have Alice.
Yeah. Oh, how moral could you really be if you're cheating on investments?
Exactly. Yeah, it's a very capitalist, heteronormative movie and book series that like we know are very problematic, but we love. We just love.
And Charlie's a cop. And Charlie is a cop.
And Charlie's a cop. Yeah.
And Charlie's a cop. And then he's kind of homophobic because when Jacob takes his clothes off to turn into a vampire, Charlie's like, whoa.
Or Charlie is bi, and that's bi panic right there.
Yeah. By pure panic right there.
Yeah.
I love Jacob.
You do? Ew. I was going to be
I
like,
know.
I'm so glad we haven't talked about him that much. Tell me why.
There's just something a kind of small town about Jacob that I link into where Jacob is a classic kind of towny character who is toxic and small-minded, but pure and innocent. And he is trying always to act out of kindness, but is always wrong. You know what I mean? And really, he lives his life by having a crush. And that's something I can relate to, of just like letting your crush rule your world. You know? And he kind of fixes motorcycles, which is hot. He's just like a small town country boy that ultimately I do believe is sexual.
Yes. Okay. He is sexual. He does marry his crush's child.
Yeah, and it's really a story of pedophilia. Yeah,
That's another story of pedophilia is and like extreme heteronormativity is the concept of what's it called? Imprinting.
Yeah, the imprinting is very scary and kind of animalistic.
And it's like, oh, there's just one person for everybody, and once I imprint on you, you're mine.
Yes. And the head of the Quillite pack famously scratched the shit out of his girlfriend's face.
Right.
So it is kind of dangerous to date them as well.
Yeah, and it's just like, but she's fine with it because she loves him. I'm like, no, that's abuse.
You're dating a wolf. You're fucking a wolf.
Yeah.
His big crazy claws. You're gonna get scratched in the face.
He's really sorry about it.
He's really, really sorry about it. And then the other girl in the pack also is his ex-girlfriend. There's a love triangle there. There's always love triangles happening. And we never even once talked about the animated baby, but it is important to mention that why.
It is important. Why?
Why? You didn't have to do that. No one asked you to do that.
Because they wanted to make her sexy. I truly think they wanted to give the baby like bedtime eyes so that like we could justify a man falling in love with her.
That is literally petrifying.
Isn't it?
Have you ever seen the picture of the doll that they used to like as the stand-in for the It is like a Chucky doll.
It's crazy.
Could you imagine being on that set and looking at that baby and not fucking crying laughing?
No. And also, I just like everything like ties up in like the cleanest odds and ends is like everybody ends up happy except for Mr. Black. But like everybody ends up with their forever person. They're going to live just as long as them because Renesme's a halfling and Jacob's a wolf. So like they'll be around for entire times. And like it just gives you these really unrealistic expectations about stuff, unrealistic expectations about forever being in a love triangle.
But the wolves don't live forever.
No, that's what I'm saying. They live for like a very long time. And so
they're going to have to turn Jacob.
Maybe they will. But also, is Renesme immortal then as a halfling?
Yeah, because she ages to a certain point. It's like 27. It's a hilarious age they pick. It's like literally
older than her parents.
They're like, she ages to 27 and then she's immortal. It's just like random.
Because Jacob ages to like 25 when he becomes a wolf. Remember? She's like in a year. She's like, whoa, you're like 25 looking now.
Oh, yeah. But then when we do have flashbacks to the old Quilliites, yeah, and they're all old wolves.
Quilliots?
Quilliots.
Yeah.
Quilliots?
I don't know. We don't know if Jacob keeps aging, but maybe that's why they made Renesme 27, because then like if he's 60 and she's 27, like it doesn't look that bad.
I think ultimately we deserve 2 sequels: the story of Renesme and Jacob, and we need fucking answers.
The story of Alice.
And the story of Alice.
Yeah. And then I just want to end on Bella's power, which is to push people out of your thoughts.
She is a shield.
Okay.
She is a shield, so you can't use your powers on her, and she can create a larger shield. With some practice and some hard work, she could create a shield and envelop other people in the shield. But she could also take her shield away, which we see in the last scene, so Edward can finally read her thoughts
the whole time. And that's where we get Midnight Sun, which if you guys don't already know about Midnight Sun, it is the first book from Edward's perspective, finally.
And famously, 3 chapters leaked when we were about 15 years old online. I read them right away.
You were 15. I was like 19. Yeah.
Same thing. And then Stephanie Myers was so distraught with her red lip that she decided not to release the whole book. And we didn't get it until the pandemic, which good on her, great timing.
A gift.
I pre-ordered it, forgot I pre-ordered it, probably was hammered drunk, pre-ordered it, and it arrived out of nowhere, peak pandemic, and I wept.
Yeah, I ordered the audiobook and I had Ben listen to it with me through the giant misty trees of the Pacific Northwest. Ooh. And if you had told 15-year-old me that would be something I experienced, she would have came just then and this podcast would have never existed.
Never happened. So it all really is fate.
It all really is fate and full circle. And yeah, Stephanie Meyer, go off with fate because it's real.
It's real. And we're Mormons now. Happy to have arrived.
Going to pick up my khaki skirt.
Can't wait. I had a show last night, and front row, there was a ex-Mormon couple who talked about how they met at church and wanted to fuck and left Mormonism.
Amazing.
I was like, you are at the right show, my friends.
Yeah, in this book, they want to fuck, so they get married, but you can also just leave the church.
You could leave and move to New York City.
Yes, do it. Gabby, this has been so much fun. I feel like we have talked about all the things, but we could do it forever.
We really could.
It's been in the making for such a long time, this episode.
We really are 2 Fangirls.
We'd been edging for a while.
We've been edging on this podcast for a really long time, and we've been, coming up with ideas. We had a Google sheet at one point where we were, working on some bullet points. We really are two kind of Lord of the Ring-esque fangirls when it comes to Twilight, deep in our bones. And
if there were a Twilight language, we would speak Elvish.
Oh, no problem. I would study it every night before I went to sleep.
And Gabby has all of the TikToks that I have ever sent about Twilight. So I will post those for you guys as well if you want those deep cuts. But before we let you go, I have to ask you about your first time coming. Now that we've edged so long, do you remember your first time coming?
Let me think. So famously, I don't know if it's how my vagina is shaped, but if I sit on the subway wrong, I will come.
Amazing.
I come very easily.
I love that for you. It's
really sweet, but it's also like the men sometimes don't even deserve it. You know what I mean? They're not putting in enough work to justify a come. I'm just a sensitive queen,
yeah.
So also if I can't really wear jeans because I'll come,
Amazing.
Yeah, it's wild. I am in a constant state of horn dog supreme, but I didn't know to masturbate till I went to college.
Okay.
Which is crazy because I come from a very sexually free family, but we just didn't really, women aren't taught to masturbate.
Yeah.
And me and my friend group, we often talk about it now because we're like, none of us even tried it. When we lived in New Jersey, like I used to staple female condoms to a poster board for sex ed, but I didn't know, like
you were rendering them useless by stapling them.
Literally, I knew everything about
we got the entire
sex.
State of New Jersey pregnant.
Literally, I remember going like with a female condom to a poster board and just being covered in lube, like in health class, being like, this is my presentation on female condoms. Crazy. So I don't fully remember, but I'm sure I came the first time I had sex. I had a very kind of like crazy losing my virginity story. And then
what is it?
Do you want to hear it?
Yeah.
It's wild. Okay, so I lost my virginity late. I was 17.
That's not late.
It's not late, but it's late in New Jersey because we're like people are fucking at 13,
Okay.
And I was like a sweet little, I also, it's not even that because I was making out. I looked very different than everyone else who I grew up with. Everyone was like short, bodacious Italian women. Like that was what was sexy in my area. And I was like, didn't break 100 pounds till I was in high school. Like, so like skeleton
tall,
skinny,
willowy,
so
pale,
tall,
blonde.
Taller than all the guys.
Yeah.
Like big head, super skinny body. Everyone called me Pinhead.
I used to call myself Lollipop in ballet.
Literally, it was like I just like wasn't hot at all to anybody till I was a junior in high school. And my mom would always laugh about it because she was like, just wait till you realize that you're a 5'10" blonde. Just wait.
Yeah.
You know? I'm like, I'm
in
ugly
a place
and
where
with brown
that's
hair.
valued. Yeah.
Yes. So she was like, she would literally laugh. She would be like, that's hilarious that you're saying that you don't want to be tall and blonde,
Yeah.
So I wasn't a sexual figure at all till I was late high school. And then I went on vacation with my my parents. And we go on vacation every New Year's as a family. It's just the four of us. We're all lunatics. We all black out constantly. And we go to a dinner and there was it was with just another family we didn't know. And the son was like the son of a musician as well. And he was rocking hot. And my mom, who's like the, matchmaker from hell, was like, you and you are sitting next to each other in front of everyone. I was like, okay. So me and this kid, he was in college. I was a senior in high school. He's rocking hot. He goes to school to Miami University for astronomy. First of all, not a major, but we were just like the whole vacation. He was just like looking at the stars and telling me about fucking, what's it called?
constellations.
And I'm like, you're a dreamboat. And then I lost my virginity to him.
Wow.
In his like hotel room that was like separate from the main hotel. It was like kind of a villa. It was out of a fucking book. And I'm like, thank God I didn't fuck behind a dumpster in New Jersey. And I waited
is
for
out
this moment.
of Breaking Dawn Part 1.
I know. It was crazy. And I had a
Did
mini
you go
skirt
swimming
on.
after?
No.
Okay. Do you remember how far into the sex you had the cum?
I barely remember. I also was probably drunk. I don't really, I just remember having sex and remember being like, that dick is big. And then we had sex once more we fucked on vacation, and then we had sex more in Manhattan, and then he got married.
Oh.
Yeah. But I would take the New Jersey Transit. I came
come
definitely
all the time?
I mean, yes. I don't remember.
Yeah. But like you remember not feeling not done.
Yeah. I remember being like, that's what sex should feel like.
Do you remember when you finally masturbated for the first time? If you don't, it's okay.
I don't think I do. I bought a vibrator this year for the first time. And I don't even really like it.
What do you use? Your hand?
Right here.
Nice.
Peace sign.
Nice.
Yeah. And I don't watch porn either. I just have a crazy imagination.
Yeah, because you've got like novels up there.
Yeah, I just picture Twilight books 1 through 5.
Exactly.
And I come every time.
It's unreal. Gabby Bryan, this has been so wonderful having you. Thank you so much for being here.
And I love you to death.
Love you to death. Can you tell everybody where they can find you online?
Yes. You can follow me Instagram and Twitter at Gabby is Bryan. I have a monthly show at The Stand in New York City. I have a podcast called Unabashed Podcast. You could all find that in my bio on my Instagram.
Yeah. And with Zach, who we love.
With Zach Senior, a gay comedian extraordinaire.
I had one of the best times ever on your podcast. So you guys
Such a great app.
Go find that episode, please. And also, just because we said it on that episode, I think it bears repeating on this one. Robert Pattinson, if you are out there, if you are listening, Gabby and I are down for a threesome. We would love it.
We would love it. And I forgot to say really, really quickly, I have a show also at Soho House, which is this weird private club in New York. And a girl came up to me at Soho House and she goes, I'm a big fan of your podcast. I'm Carlisle's daughter.
Shut up!
Like the actor who plays Carlisle, his daughter randomly found our podcast and is a big fan. And now she comes to all my shows and sends me Twilight memes.
Oh my God, this could happen.
So we're close.
We're close.
We're close.
6 degrees of Robert Pattinson.
Shout out,
See you
Luca.
soon in bed. Okay. Gabby, love you. Robin, love you. Great job, everyone. I have to ask you this one more question that I have to ask everybody after a sexual experience. Gabby Bryan, did you finish?
Today on this very podcast, I came. Look.
Yay.
I was like drinking.
Thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you so much.
We'll see you next time on How Come. Goodbye.
Bye.
It's not you, it's me. I try so hard to finish honestly. They say you'll know when you go all the way from A right down to O. Oh no, I think that I've still got a ways to go. Oh, I'm sick of this and I have got to know. How come? How come? How come I can't achieve? How come I can't achieve? I'm rolling up my sleeves. I'm rolling up my sleeves. Oh baby, I believe these guests can help. 'Cause I can't do it by myself. I wanna jizz